Welcome to Seymour's World. My name is Seymour Kazimirski. Our show is at ThinkTech Hawaii. Today, we have a wonderful show for you with a very good friend of mine. The idea of the show today is to talk about entrepreneurship. How does somebody who grew up in very, very difficult circumstances turn out to be a very successful businessman? And I have to tell you that David Pang, when you meet him, you will be very, very impressed. For all of you who sent me all those emails and comments last week regarding the Ann Namba show and Roxy show, by the way, I have to tell you, I have not been able to answer them because I was in New York over the weekend. Here is my contact information. Jay's going to put it up on the screen. So instead of calling me, if you don't mind, send me emails. If you want to look at past shows, because many of you have asked how to find the other shows, please look on screen and you will see. Go to thinktechhawaii.com, go to the search engine, then you look for the host on the right-hand side of the search, and you'll see Seymour Kazimirski, and all our shows are listed there. You can pick up all of the Let There Be Light commentaries, and you can pick up our shows as well. Okay. Let's welcome David. David, welcome to Seymour's World.
Thanks for having me here, Seymour.
You know, we've been talking the last 15 minutes, and we haven't prepared for the show at all.
Exactly. Well, you know, just reminiscing on all the things we've done in the past, which is quite a long list there.
Yes, it is. Well, we've had almost 20 years together.
Almost 20.
Several businesses we're going to talk about.
Yeah, it's a lot of things.
What happened? But first, let's give the audience a sense of who David Pang is.
Well, let's see. I'm in my 40s.
Okay.
Getting up there in age. I'm not as old as you, but I'm catching you up slowly.
You better never catch up to me. Let's keep going.
No, so basically started off with a few companies of my own, bringing in products. And how I started in the whole industry was I started off with products I knew we'd sell. I already had the customer base, so it's easy to go out there and get customers, get products to fill their needs. And over the years, we just basically expanded. To the point where we own a few stores in different marketplaces, and here in Hawaii as well as in Asia. Then we started developing product on our own, and we got into the manufacturing process where we do a lot of research and development into products, to our specs, and then we basically contract those guys out to someone else in the world to make that product for us based on our specs.
And you were born here in Hawaii?
No, I was actually born in Taiwan.
Oh.
So it's the weirdest story. So my mom is from Taiwan, and my dad's from Maui.
Oh.
So my dad worked for Matson on the ship as an engineer for Matson, and he met my mom in Taiwan. They are married, had me, and being the oldest, I mean, some of your people might be Asian, they know the oldest boy, you know, is like kind of revered and things like that. So my grandmother wouldn't let me leave until I knew how to learn to speak Chinese. So once I did, I was 4 years old, my dad said, you know what, we're gonna have my son educated in the US, and he moved back to Hawaii.
Wow.
And that's when we moved here.
And your mom came with
my mom, so the whole family moved in. So my father, my mother, and myself moved here when I was 4 years old.
And it wasn't an easy time for you.
No, it wasn't. My dad passed away shortly thereafter. He had cancer shortly. So my mom and I were on public assistance, welfare, whatever you want to call it. And it was tough. I mean, I speak of it now as like a badge of honor that, you know, you come so far, you had to come through this thing. But the example I give people of how poor we were was, I lived in the housing or the project, whatever you want to call it, and I used to get me hand-me-downs from my neighbors. So they gave me their clothes. Because growing, I mean, you know, people see me now, and I'm 6'3", 220 pounds, but growing up, I was always the smallest kid in the neighborhood. I grew in high school and after. So always, you know, my mom's 5'1", my dad's 5'9". I always thought I'd be in that, somewhere in that ballpark. And, you know, skipped a generation. My mom's the shortest in her family, and my dad's the shortest in his family.
And where did you go to school here?
So so I graduated from Kaimaki. So I grew up in that whole Kaimaki, Dade Street area.
Mm-hmm. So, and then, did you go to college here?
So I went to UH, and while at UH, an opportunity came about where I figured, you know what, if I graduate, I looked at all my friends who were graduating, they weren't getting jobs. And I said, you know what, let me take this and try it. So I took over a division selling pet products here in Hawaii for the IAMS company. Some of you guys have pets, heard of IAMS company.
Way back then? You're
Way back
many,
when.
many
so
years
yeah,
ago.
20 plus years ago. It was in I want to say like in 1990 or so. I took over the retail business for the IAMS company here in Hawaii. And as they say, the rest is history. So we got involved in the pet industry, and I've been in the pet industry for 20 plus years. In the last 5 years or so, we branched out into more traditional human consumer goods, consumable products, and in the last 2 years, we got into biodegradable and eco-friendly products as well.
What made you take that step, David? You could have gotten a job, obviously. Yeah. What made you take the step to say, I want to do my own business?
I think for me it was, I've always liked teaching. I've always coached, you've known I've coached and worked with kids and things like that in the past. That's my passion. And I think I learned early on, don't do your passion, do what you're good at. And I think naturally I'm a much better salesperson than I was probably a teacher, because I think I don't have that tolerance for I guess, laziness or so that you kind of need for being a teacher. And then I saw how much teachers didn't make. So I think that was a motivating factor, because I grew up really, really poor and I didn't want to be there. And early on, I had some really great mentors, yourself included, that showed me that there's ways out of than just what you see. I mean, growing up in the neighborhood I grew up in, there was basically 2 ways out, like you said, 3 ways out. So we had guys who played sports who got out, got educations based on that. There was guys who just went 9-to-5 jobs, you know, and there's the guys who dealt drugs. So there was 3 ways to get out of the neighborhood I grew up in. And so those were my 3 choices. And I was lucky, I was somewhat decent in playing sports, so I had people who showed me the 4th way, which is using your talents and your mind and taking risk. The younger you take risk, the more reward there is the older you get. So I was nothing to lose. I mean, I couldn't get any poorer, right? So take this risk when I was young, and I did.
And as you all know, that's one of the things I preach to everybody, is that you have to take risks to be a winner. And we even talked about that a few minutes ago.
Yeah, exactly.
When we said, I tell everybody that I mentor, everybody that I work with, you have a wall of winners and you have a wall of losers. And what's the answer, David?
All you need is one more winner than loser.
That's exactly what I tell everybody.
That's all you need.
It works. David, when you went into business and you started making your own products, that must have been risky, must have been difficult, because you were already selling products for IAMS, right?
Yeah, so you know, when I left the IAMS company and started working for myself, like I said, the good thing was I already had a customer base. And being in that market for so many years, I kind of knew what people wanted. So I was able to go and develop product that people already wanted. I knew they wanted it. So you're filling a niche, and we talked about that earlier. Find your niche, find what you're good at, right? And then expand from there. Don't try to be all things to all people, because it'll never happen. We're, you know, me, Dave Pang, I'm not big enough. I'm not Mars, or I'm not Nestle's, you know, where I can, you know, cover the whole candy aisle, or I can cover the whole, you know, cereal aisle, right? So you start with one item. So, you know, a lot of people know our company here in Hawaii, and we started basically with one product that I developed, I would say about 7-8 years ago, a puppy pad, something so simple.
Tell everybody what a puppy pad is.
So a puppy pad, or a bed pad, or however you call it, it's a pad that you put on the floor, or if you're a senior citizen, you put on your bed. And what we developed, what we found was all the things that are in the marketplace really didn't work. It's basically 5 layers of newspaper wrapped around a piece of plastic, and you wet it. And if you made a mess on it, the mess would get everywhere in your house. Just not as bad as if you put newspaper on the ground. So we saw some product in Japan and in Asia that really worked really well. And then we kind of tinkered with it a bit, and we made it even better. And then we went through manufacturing to bring the cost down so that everybody can afford it. Because the product we saw in Japan was literally $1 a sheet. Works great, but no one can afford $1 a sheet. Right. So I had to get it down to where it's about 10 cents a sheet.
Oh my gosh.
So we did. We were able to get it down to about 10, 15 cents a sheet based on the size. And we brought it to market, and we were very lucky at that time. We showed a few buyers for longs, and they were just blown away, literally blown away. We knew what we had. No one else in Hawaii had seen anything like that at that time. And they brought it in, and we gave them the Ilio products. And, you know, and it sells great. It's the #1 selling pad.
Now, you had other ventures besides Ilio.
Goodness, yes.
And of course, we'll talk about the ventures we had together, because you and I were in business together. When you started in the pet business, I remember you going to Taiwan and even opening up pet stores in Taiwan. How did you manage all that?
Well, you know, it's capping on your point of one thing at a time. You know, we talked about, there's a little difference that I think you and I see on that. I think you can handle more than one thing at a time. And I think the reason for that is, it's an opportunity for you to reset. You know, sometimes when you're so entrenched in one thing, it's like you can't see the forest from the trees. But if you're able to get to something else that is something totally separate from what you're trying to do, you know, and you come back to it, it's almost as if you're seeing it for the first time. You get a new set of light, new set of eyes on it, and you can look at it from a completely different angle, and then it's easier to see the solutions in front of you. So regarding the pet stores, you know, I was selling product from the United States, pharmaceutical equipment into Asia, and it was very successful. And I met a few partners there, and they said, you know what, we don't have any type of U.S. type of pet stores, no Petco, PetSmart, or any of the large chains, big box type of pet stores in Taiwan. So we opened up the first chain of big pet stores in Taiwan, I would say, 10, 12 years ago. And it was completely successful. We had full grooming, full boarding, full hospitals.
Nothing that they had before.
Nothing, no one had anything like that. And then full retail space. So my partners were veterinarians. I brought all the front end retail experience to them, and they were, same thing, blown away, because they've never seen anything like that. And it's been, so I actually lived there. You remember I lived there for a year,
of course,
teaching them how to work the front end of a store, all the retail, the shelving, how you do the, the walk, basically the layout of the store, and how you get people to buy things through spontaneous buys, clip strips, random purchases of things that you don't think go hand in hand.
Try to explain to our audience, David, the idea of opening up businesses in Asia.
Oh my goodness!
It's a foreign thing to most. Now you come from Taiwan,
yeah,
and you speak Chinese.
I speak Chinese,
and I've mentored so many young people who I say learn the language or don't go over there, because you need to have that language. But besides the language,
it's not just the language.
What is it?
It's the culture. It's embracing. People who come to Hawaii from anywhere in our world, they either love it or hate it. My wife's from the mainland. She came here on vacation, loved it, moved here. My best friend's from the mainland, came here on vacation, loved it, didn't move back. But I also have friends who moved here for a job, few years, and they're like, I'm done, I'm out of this place. Whether you want to call it rock fever or anything else. So above and beyond the language, it's a culture thing. It's an acceptance of, you know what, I can't bring what I had to this new place, but I can take what this new place has with what I have and make it better. So it's a 1 + 1 = 3. Versus, or you know what, why can't I do things like the way it was there? And if you can accept that, then it doesn't matter where you go in the world, whether it's Taiwan, China, Thailand, Vietnam, or Europe. It's all the same. You have to be able to accept the people where you're going for who they are. And understand, sometimes it gets very frustrating, believe me. Doing business in China and Taiwan and Japan, these are some of the most headstrong countries out there as far as when you're doing business people. And you have to understand the culture of negotiation. You have to understand the culture of motivation. You have to understand the culture of revenues and dollars and cents and what it actually means to these people. If you can get that, then I don't think the language is kind of secondary almost.
David and I had several businesses going together, and one of them was the RFID business. Yeah. And I said to David, why don't we take the microchips that we're doing for dogs and cats, basically the companion animal business, and take it overseas? David said, let's do it in Taiwan. Yeah. And I was shocked at how fast, because I saw how long it took me to get it into China and into Thailand, but you were able to go over there, and I went over and you introduced me to the heads of departments. And what did you have there that made it so much quicker for me to get in with you in the RFID business?
I think there's a couple of things. One was, by the time you came over the RFID, I already knew most of these people on a personal basis because I was doing business, either with selling them vet equipment. We actually held symposiums with Dr. Mirahara and Mary Allen. So I invited on my dime to pay Dr. Mirahara to Taiwan to talk to the vet association, talk to the government about the need of companion animals and what they actually do and how valuable that is to having in people's everyday lives and how much healthier they are, less stress and things like that. So by the time you came over, they already knew me, right? And then having invited a lot of the politicians to create some of those laws in place to be beneficial for pet ownership. So by the time we got there, we already knew a lot of these people, and it was bringing your expertise with the credibility I had built over the last several years. They're like, oh, this makes complete sense. Let's do it. So and the good thing was, sometimes you have people who don't know much, but want to pretend they know much. They know a lot. These people didn't know, and they were okay with saying, I don't know, let someone else show me. And having the credibility that I had brought with them and being very forthright and straightforward with them over the several years, it was easy to open that door because I built the goodwill. So bringing someone in and says, let me show you more technology, let me educate you even more, that became a very easy sell at that point.
David makes it sound easy. It was not easy. I have to tell you, the risk factor involved, because we had to put up a lot of money.
Yeah,
we had a lot of samples.
A lot of
to go
trips.
over there, a lot of trips to Taiwan, trips to Thailand to get the products made for Taiwan. I mean, but we both have the same philosophy, and the philosophy is risk. You mustn't be afraid to take a chance. You mustn't be afraid to try something. If you believe in it and you've done the due diligence, as you did, you do have a very good chance of success. And that could be anywhere in the world.
Any
with
product.
any product that you do.
It doesn't really matter what it is.
So David and I decided that we not only wanted to do the dogs and cats and the companion animals, we wanted to do pigs. Right, David? And that was in Taiwan.
That was in
Taiwan. Why don't you tell the story of what happened with the pigs?
The pigs story was great because at that time the whole hoof and mouth disease happened, and the BSE. They lost millions of pigs, and then the United States we had the BSE going to mad cow disease.
Right.
So it was a very opportune time to capitalize on all of that. So we went in again. You know, they knew who we were, and we had built them. You know, some good rapport with them, and we told them that we have this thing for animals. We have this thing for livestock, and you can trace back, a full trace back system for pigs, and you know where every pig is at any given time from birth to slaughter. And they're like, okay, let's do it. And you know, we brought the engineers over.
We had to make a special ear tag.
Special ear tag that was biting resistant.
Right,
and they had to put certain compounds in it so it was stronger, because pigs, when there's anything that's hanging, pigs will bite. So even a pig will bite another pig's ear because the ear is hanging. So, and then these things were bright yellow so the farmers could see it. And you know, so it just led to a lot of problems that happened. And we got over most of them to the point where, I mean, we're literally on the 1 yard line.
Yeah.
And we had, I mean, I remember that day, vividly as it was yesterday. We had all the camera crews for every news station in Taiwan. We had all the politicians there. And the engineers were warned ahead of time that, look, this is for all the marbles. We're either this goes right and we're in, or this goes wrong. And
we were talking millions.
Yeah,
millions.
They slaughter 12 million pigs a year in Taiwan. So even if you make a penny a piece, I mean, it's still a dime a piece. It's still a lot of money. Anyway, so the engineers from Germany, who were supposed to, or Austria, who were the experts, didn't listen to the farmers, which is a lesson I learned. Listen to the experts. You're not the expert at everything. And the farmers told them, these pigs, when they come through this chute, they know, they sense that this is the end of their life, and they get violent. They get very violent. And this chute is no bigger than maybe 1.5 feet, 2 feet wide, and you're trying to fit a 600-pound pig in it. And the pigs are violent. You know, there's no other way to say it. And they were told, put everything on the outside of the cage, and the engineers were concerned that the metal of the cage would actually interfere with the scanning, so they put it inside. And the 7th pig walked through and basically destroyed the whole system.
That was it.
And that was it. And it was televised on TV, and yet all the politicians, and I've never seen mayors and politicians run so fast. Yeah. No one wanted to be in the camera.
It was an amazing experience. Of course, you know, we're telling you about a losing experience, our wall of losers, not our wall of winners. But that was just amazing, because the effort and time and everything that we had done was right, and we had contracts ready to be signed. And as soon as that pig went through, and just the tag, I think it ripped off the ear or something.
It basically hit the scanning, hit the scanner, and the scanning thing didn't work out thereafter.
And of course, we had to give them 100% security that this was going to be a technology that will guarantee that they could trace back all pigs. Yeah. And we couldn't do it. But we still have a wall of winners, David.
Yeah, you know, like I said, I learned from that is, don't pretend to be the expert. Ask the expert. Or surround yourself with experts. Yeah. David, we have to take a short break, and we haven't even introduced your products yet. But I knew that was going to happen, because once we get going, that's the way it is. We're going to take a little short break now. This is Seymour Kazimirski at Seymour's World on ThinkTech Hawaii. We'll be back in a minute.
I'm Hong Jiang, host for Asia in Review on Tuesdays.
And I'm David Day, host for Asian Review on Thursdays. Both of us broadcast our respective shows at 4 p.m.
And my topics tend to deal with questions related to environment, culture, history, and sometimes human rights.
And my shows tend to be on international business, foreign policy, geopolitics, and national security. And you can watch our shows live on the ThinkTech website at thinktechhawaii.com.
And you can also watch us on YouTube or Olalo.
So come join us on Thursdays at 4 p.m. I'm David Day.
And on Tuesdays at 4 p.m., I'm Hong Jiang.
Aloha.
Hello.
Hi, welcome back to Seymour's World. I'm Seymour Kazimirski, and my guest is David Pang today, and we are having a lot of fun talking about all the deals that we have been in and what we've done. But let's try to look at what David is doing, not just in the Hawaii marketplace today, because a lot of people say we don't have enough Hawaii products. You can, and you can make products in Hawaii, outside of Hawaii, bring them in and sell them not only here, but to the United States. So David, can you give us a little rundown of the product line that Ilio has now?
Yeah, so, Ilio, everyone who knows Ilio in Hawaii, so if you're in Hawaii, everyone's pretty much hit an Ilio product. If you have a dog, it's pretty, I would say it's pretty well known. What's funny is that our pet business accounts for less than 50% of our business.
Oh,
but
I didn't know
everyone,
that.
people just think because our name is Ilio that we only handle pet products.
Well, Sue buys your products.
Yeah,
so
you probably buys our products.
Yeah,
but you probably buy our other products and don't even know it's ours.
Oh, wow.
So, we started off with the pet side again. We started off with the puppy pad. It was kind of big, so I couldn't bring it here. But everybody knows that. And then a few years back, we came up with a dental treat that's fully digestible. We don't use corn. We don't use sweet.
Can you show it to our audience?
Yeah, so it's right here. So you'll see it right there. So it's called Teeth Treat, and it's completely different. We engineered it to be fully digestible. So we don't put any allergen grains in there. So there's no wheat, no corn, no soy. It's gluten-free. So you don't have to worry about your dogs having any kind of allergic reactions. It also makes the product more digestible. No one gives your dog just one a day. Come on, let's just be real, right? So one of the concerns with some of the other dental treats out there, there's referred to digestible plastic, or they put a lot of gluten in it to bring up the protein mix in there. But all those things are not digestible by the animal. So if you give too many, your dogs will have the typical runny stools and other digestibility problems that you're going to encounter.
And where do you sell this to, David?
We sell it pretty much everywhere. Most pet stores have it. Long's has it. Don Quixote has it. Walgreens has it. I mean, a lot of places. So
what about, are you selling it to the U.S. yet?
Yeah, so we do have distributors on the West Coast and on the East Coast. We're trying to fill the need in the middle of the United States. But in the pet industry, there's been some consolidation in the last 5 years. So we don't want to go with the one huge distributor, because we have one product is going to get lost. So just finding the right distributor for our product, that in itself is a major challenge. Mm-hmm. We sell this sold in Japan, it's sold in Korea right now. We've done Taiwan, we're working on Thailand and Australia. We're in registration process. Brazil, Peru. So we're selling it outside and a lot of these people approached us. We didn't really go on approaching anybody. They were here on vacation. Their friend gave them a sample, something to that effect, that they heard about us somehow.
I just want to bring something up to all of you. Jay Fidel and I were discussing diversification in Hawaii, and you are a perfect example of finding a niche market and working that niche very well. And now you're not only doing it for the Hawaii marketplace, you're doing it for outside Hawaii. So you're exporting as well.
Yeah, yes, correct. We're exporting. So we actually have a plant that we just built in San Diego that makes the product for the U.S. market and the export market.
Fabulous. So show us some more of your stuff.
Yeah. So then again, getting to the Ilio brand, a lot of people have seen these. They're, what we did is we took the rawhide that people have been buying for the last 100 years or so, and we put a Hawaiian twist on it. So you got like Kalua pig, we got pipi kaula, we got chicken long rice.
Oh my God.
So we made it to a twist on the flavor so that the dogs have something else to chew other than just the same old white piece of cowhide.
And I think one other thing that this does, because we talked about shelf space, and those of you who are in the retail marketplace, you can't go to a major retailer with a one-item line.
It's very difficult. You're going to get lost.
Right. So you have to have more items. So these items now complement each other.
Yeah, they all complement, and they're not in direct competition, because this is a chew. This has a functionality where the dental treat has a functionality behind it, where you clean the dog's teeth. There's nutritional aspects. Where these chews are just that. It's more of a toy, but it doesn't break down. We come up with the formulation, we do the specs, and then we give it to someone else to make it based on our specs. So a lot of people are like, well, only product in the United States is good, only product here is good, and we tell people, no, that's not true.
So are you doing private labeling too as well?
No, well, it is somewhat private label because it's not a major brand, and we do line exclusivity for people. For instance, you only can find Ilio at Long's. Right, but we have another brand called Kanaka, which I forgot to bring the samples, but you can find that in Petco, you can find it in Don Quixote, you can find it in Walgreens, you can find those things in other stores. So it's not a direct private brand like how most people think, but it's line exclusive for people that we partner up with.
Now you mentioned you have other things besides pet products.
So a few years ago we started looking at the marketplace and see where the market was going, and what we're seeing is we live in a much more disposable society, and people are more on the run, so to speak. You know, not back to your thing. Take a little time off.
Yeah.
Right? But everyone's in a rush for something, so a lot more carry and go, a lot more to go. So we got into these bags, these disposable bags, these resealable bags. So you know, it's called paina. And paina means party in Hawaiian for the people who don't know.
Right.
And what we found was what you get when you use some of the other major brands, you just basically get a cheap piece of plastic with a seal. So we actually re-engineered some of it. I know you guys tried it earlier trying to pop these bags.
Let's show the audience.
So, you know, by putting air in here, it's literally, I'll put some air in here. We adjusted the seal to make the seal literally from one direction is impossible. So I mean, like I said, I'm 6'3", 220 pounds. I'm not a small guy, and I can't break it from the seal. In fact, we're at a show here in Hawaii a few months back, and we told people, if you're able to pop this bag through the seal, we'll give you a box for free. And we had some pretty big guys, a lot bigger than me, tried.
And nobody
could do it.
So what is your secret? You have a patent on the...
No, well, we tried to, but they said because of the functionality of it, we really can't patent it.
So you couldn't even do a design patent?
So we don't even bother. We just tell people that if you just try our product, if you feel it's a lot thicker. I mean, I know you tried popping this earlier.
No, I tried. You can't.
You can't pop it.
You honestly can't.
Yeah. So
this
you
is
have
sold.
to
Where is this
sold in Longs.
Oh wow!
Right. So and in fact, it's on sale.
Paina.
Paina. So
Wow.
you know, again, it's on sale right. In fact, you're lucky it's on sale right now.
Yeah.
So save some money. Save some money. Right.
So David, if this is so, now you label this, you can sell enough of these to have this made and sold directly.
We sell enough of it to make it. But it's part of a whole Paina line. So the whole Paina line is an eco-friendly line. Right, so we have the biodegradable plates and utensils and things like that. So if you see paina, you know that there's something good about it. So these will actually break down to about 97% in the landfill. Our plates and utensils break down 100% in the landfill.
That's great.
So again, we're looking at, because we're living in a more consumptious, people in a rush, there's more disposable society, we're doing a lot of damage. I mean, you're putting plastic in the earth, and we really can't get away from plastic. But you can mitigate a lot of that and how it affects the landfill. If you get a truly biodegradable product, it basically turns into worm food. Right? That's what I tell people in the landfill. Given enough time, 180 days,
it'll degrade,
it just degrades. Plastic never goes away. 500 years from now, it's still going to be there. So if you can reduce the amount of that, we're on an island. We don't have too many more, landfills we can use. I mean, the landfill we have now is past use, its usefulness past 20 years. So we have to be cognizant. We have to be very conscious of our society and our environment, because there's nowhere we can go. This is it.
If people want to see your product line, they can obviously go to Longs, etc. But can they see it online?
That's one of the things that we don't do it online, because one of the reasons some of our products we do and some of them we don't. And the reason for that is online you can't touch, feel, smell, taste. Right? So we want people to go. And our whole goal is we're making eco-friendly, sustainable products, right, at the price of non-eco-friendly, non-sustainable products or below. So our products are always going to be at that price or below. So there is no reason for people not to do it. The biggest hang-up about going eco-friendly and sustainable is, oh my God, I can't afford it. Oh yeah, but now what's your excuse? We've made it so that it's affordable. It's actually less. We're cheaper than all the national brands, right? Because of our ability to market and manufacture product directly. We'll be able to bring it to market for cheaper than sustainable, cheaper than plastic. Let's put it this way. We're cheaper than plastic.
Wow.
So so we tell people, what is your excuse?
So what about? When we first started going into business together and doing our stuff together, you were already starting to bring products from America to Taiwan.
Yeah.
Not just opening up stores in Taiwan.
No.
What kind of product did you bring?
So the funniest thing now is that our number one selling product from the U.S. into Asia. I told you earlier, so it's
but
kind
for
of
our audience,
yeah. It's cat litter.
Cat litter.
It's cat litter. We move between 30 and 50 containers a year of cat litter.
Oh my gosh.
And the reason why is they can't copy it. You can't make that dirt.
So they don't have dirt that they can...
They don't have that type of dirt.
That's
Clumping
amazing.
cat litter is specifically sodium bentonite. That's the technical term of that type of dirt. They don't have sodium bentonite.
Amazing.
So they have to buy it from elsewhere.
And of course, it's a U.S. product.
It's a product, so it's packaged all in U.S., big old USA sticker on it and things like that. They want it from the USA. China doesn't have sodium bentonite.
Wow.
So they can't make, even if they wanted to copy it, they can't because they don't have it.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
So you're not selling it here though? Locally?
No, we don't sell it here.
Because
there's enough cat litter here in Hawaii.
Yeah.
Just the shipping to here would make it
Yeah.
not feasible. But going there's a premium for the U.S. Cat litter versus the ones they get from Mongolia or they get from the Middle East.
Does the name in Asia, made in the USA, still have
It
that?
really depends. It really depends on what product. I think when you talk to electronics, no. I mean, that whole USA electronic side.
What about clothing?
Clothing, no. Because most people know there's not very few clothing made in the
That's
USA.
actually
And it's
made
not,
in the USA.
Yeah, and there's no value. Now, you want clothing, you want made in Italy. Handbags, other than the exception of Coach, which now is made in China.
Right.
That's kind of gone away. So there's not very.
I think I mentioned to you that I work with the Polo Ralph Lauren group out of Hong Kong, and Trevor Robertson said that there's hardly anything made anywhere except that he's got 540 factories. 540 factories in China making polo merchandise.
And a lot of the things are going out the back door. So that's a problem that they have for themselves. I think where the Made in USA has valued, I think, is in the food and the consumable products. I think people still like our steaks. They still like our meat. I think our uniqueness in our foods and things like that. I think that side still sells.
What about technology?
Technology, I mean, we're getting behind the curve. We really, I mean, I go to Asia and I see some of the things that they're coming out with on a daily, weekly basis. We're missing the boat. I think Americans, we're so caught up in our success over the last 100 years that we're not looking at our future success for the next 100 years. I look at, and I think the biggest driving factor of that is just that hunger. We're not hungry. I mean,
you don't feel that the rules and regulations. And
I don't buy into that, and because we all have to abide by it. It's a fair ground. It's not like if you import something, I import something, I have a different rule than you do. It's all fair by everyone. But I don't think that stymies innovation. I think, for the most part, I think people, two things that I kind of look at. One is the guys who are innovating, right, are getting swallowed up by the big guys. And they're consolidating. I look at let's just take cell phones. I look at the cell phones that are available in Asia. I look at cell phones available here. I look at the cell
phones. Look at the speed of the broadband.
The speed. I mean, almost every country in Asia is on fiber optics. Less than 10% of the United States is on fiber optics. I mean, you're talking because why? You have the Comcast, you have the Time Warners. They own the market, and they don't want to spend any more money on infrastructure to make it faster when they can basically print. They're printing money. The infrastructure is built out now for them. Cable is built out. They don't have to spend any more money, and we pay more. I have a house in Taiwan. I have fiber optic in my house. I pay basically $11 a month for fiber optics, for internet in my house. I have fiber optics in my house here. I have 200, I have 100, so what's that? One fourth the speed I have here, and I'm paying $70 a month here. How does that work? Because it's not built out. And no one wants to put the money in to build it out because it doesn't make sense.
With your experience, and we're talking to entrepreneurs and young people, and I have all of my mentoring guys watching this show. What do you think, if they were to think about Hawaii and say, all right, does Hawaii have an export item that you think, because you live there basically, you live in both places, I know how many trips you make. Matter of fact, don't you own China Airlines now?
I think I own a couple of tires and a couple of engines.
Okay,
That's
well,
as much as I spend.
I know how many trips you make.
Yeah.
What products do you think are missing? Just as you and I, when we went over and we looked at the RFID business, we said this would be perfect, and we went for it. What products do you think are missing in Asia that maybe Hawaii could be involved in?
I think there's a couple of things. One is when you look at product, like whether it's a gum or a dental treat, I think there's always going to be a few products that Hawaii has uniquely inherent to them. It just came out that Hawaii's export business has shrunk in the last couple of years, right? So the water's gone, so Hawaii water's gone down, the mac nuts have gone down, the coffee, and that's our big three that we've had over the years. I think the tourism level, amount of tourists coming here, it's kind of leveled off because physically we can't handle any more people per year. But when you look at product, I think you have to look at very unique things about Hawaii. I think we need to get past the sun, surf, and sand in Hawaii. And when we get past that, there's some uniqueness, whether it's technology. I think there's a lot of bright people in Hawaii that can come out with technology that's useful for the rest of the world. I think Hawaii is the perfect place for demos. I think what we can offer people is for myself speaking for myself, I can do a test run in Hawaii on any product and not worry about a bleed over. So when you do market research, you're always concerned about, okay, did somewhere bleed over to me, or did I bleed over to somewhere? Are these the true results I'm getting? Well, in Hawaii, we could be the perfect place to do everyone's samples. Now, the big companies right now, allow them to go to Columbus, Ohio, or they do, the middle America, because they're somewhat diversified. You can't get more diversified than Hawaii. There is no one population base that's that much incrementally larger than the other. Plus, too, if you're looking for a product to go into Asia, we're the perfect place. So I think the services that we offer and the capabilities that we have that are inherent to Hawaii is what we should be capitalizing on, right? We've done the surf, we've done the sand, we've done all this stuff. We've done water, we've done, other than packaging up
orchids, all that kind of stuff.
We've done all that. So I think there's other things that are inherently about Hawaii that's so unique that's nowhere in the world. They talk about 70% of all the endangered species in the world is in Hawaii. So, that's a capitalization. All those type of things where, market segments, market penetration, that's inherent in Hawaii because there's no bleed over. We cannot. So those type of things are opportunities for us in the future.
Well, I think you're right. And I think one of the points that I want to make to people in Hawaii is not to close their eyes and to really look at what is possible for Hawaii. What can be done in Hawaii? Well, we have technology issues, obviously. We've got not just our sun, sand, and surf by itself, but to teach about tourism, to be able to use Hawaii as a place where we could maybe have a tourism university, something like that.
Much more than what we have now.
Much
definitely,
more.
Yeah.
I think we can also do a wellness center here in Hawaii because it would be perfect for the Asian marketplace.
We live longer than any other state in Hawaii, in the United States.
Right.
People in Hawaii live longer than anywhere else. So what are we doing right? Again, those are inherent to Hawaii. So I think people need to take a deeper look at all the things that we do. I said less product-based, but more, like you said, open your eyes. All the things that people overlook every day. What is it? What is it about Hawaii that makes us live longer? What is it about Hawaii where people on every U.S. we're the happiest people, we're the most,
Didn't we have this guy who was considered the happiest guy in the world or something that was from Hawaii, right?
We have a lot of those people, So there's things in Hawaii, and I think by far, like you travel a lot, I travel a lot. By far, of all the places I've ever been, whether it doesn't matter country or state, Hawaii has the most tolerant people in the world. And I think that in itself is something that can be learned by everyone else.
I have to say, just before we have another break that we've got to go to, I was in New York this weekend. And I'll tell you, 2 days in New York is enough for me. And I've traveled everywhere in the world.
That's what I say about Vegas.
That's the same thing. It is absolutely amazing how wonderful it is to live here, because you come back and you realize the frenetic pace that you have in New York and in some of the other major cities in the world. No wonder people want to come to Hawaii because it's truly relaxing. So if you can live here, it's a hell of a lot better. But it's still not enough, in my opinion, to make a business out of it. We have to find ways to diversify the economy in Hawaii. And if we open up our eyes and we have government willing to help us and private industry willing to help new businesses besides hotels and condo-tels, and I've been involved in some of those, and that's been wonderful.
And the big utilities.
And big utilities. We need to open up our eyes to more things. David, before we go on break, tell us what this is.
So this grenade gum, you guys have tried it.
Okay,
so
it's called Grenade, by the way.
And it basically it will wake you up. It will set you free, so to speak. And it basically cleans out your whole palate, starts your breath new, so it doesn't matter what you eat beforehand. And what we do is we put a high menthol blast that goes in. So each one has no caffeine with no sugar. We don't put any aspartame, so there's nothing bad in here. We use xylitol, which is a natural extract from plants. That's just the sugar extract from plants. So there's nothing bad. It's actually good. If you chew it, it actually breaks down the bacteria. Xylitol will actually break down bacteria in your mouth.
And it explodes. It literally explodes. David said, "Oh, come on, Seymour, try one." And I'm not one to chew gum. And I said, "Okay, I'll try one." And it exploded so much that I was afraid to drink water because I knew the water.
The water makes it stronger. So one is going through. But it basically clears out your whole palate, and it's soft enough you can chew all day. The record right now is 6 hours. Someone chewing, and the flavor doesn't go away.
Wow. And so available where?
At all the stores around town, same thing. So it's in Longs right now, and then we're getting it in 7-Eleven, Safeway. We're meeting with everyone right now. It's a brand new product. We just literally launched it a month ago.
Wonderful. David, we've only got a few more minutes. I'm going to take a break, and then we're going to get back to talking about you and me and some of the stuff we've done together.
I don't think that's enough time.
Oh, it's not enough time. Thank you for watching. We will be back in a minute. My name is Seymour Kazimirski, and this is Seymour's World at ThinkTech Hawaii.
I'm Jay Fidel. That's Sharon Moriwaki of the Hawaii Energy Policy Forum. And every Wednesday we have Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy. We've been doing it for some time now, and we have some fantastic guests on there, unbelievable guests who give us insight into what is going on in a very complex, sometimes very confusing, sometimes very disappointing area of progress in the state. So we love doing this. We love meeting them. We love talking to them. We love having their ideas out on the table. So maybe, just maybe, we can all make some sense of what's going on. Sharon, what do you think?
I think that's absolutely correct. We enjoy ourselves meeting with all these people and hearing about the energy and the state of clean energy, and hopefully we advance clean energy for the state. So it's terrific. Join us.
Okay, it's every Wednesday. Okay, Wednesday is Energy Day. Every Wednesday, 4 to 5 p.m. Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy, here on ThinkTech Hawaii. We'll see you there.
Hi, welcome back to Seymour's World. I'm Seymour Kazimirski. Our guest today is David Pang of Ilio Products. Yeah. That's not all David is, and that's not all he's done. I don't think we have enough hours in the day to talk about all the businesses that you have done and we've done together, yeah. which is terrific. But before we get into some of those, I want to talk about technology. How has that affected your business?
I think in some ways it made it easier, in some ways it made it harder. Obviously, easier is a simple thing, right? I mean, like you were saying earlier, I mean, you're totally connected all the time. It's easy to answer people's questions. It's much easier to be interactive with your consumers. I think what makes it harder is now you're totally interactive with your consumers. They can get hold of you anytime, one. Two, for competition basis, your competition can see you, what you're doing at any given time. So you have to be much more, you know, imaginative when you want to come up with marketing ideas and things like that, because shortly after you come up with an initiative, people see it, people talk about it, people can dissect it, and then they can see how they can beat you in that angle.
But in a way that's good for the consumer.
It is good for the consumer, but you need to factor in scope and economies of scale.
Right.
So a person like my company, which, you know, some people in Hawaii think we're a big company, but when you measure us against, you know, the Mars of the world and the Procter & Gamble, we're not very big.
Right.
So they have economies of scale where they can leverage and they can put pressure on things. So it's very difficult for companies like of my size and stature in Hawaii to basically compete with them on that playing field. And now that they're actually getting a lot smarter, you know, 5 years ago, the big guys weren't very smart. They weren't very tech savvy. They weren't very looking at ways to look at what their competition was doing. They're doing a lot more homework now. They're a lot smarter now, so it becomes a lot harder.
Well, you know, the idea of technology, I always go back to one product that David and I made together. And this is a product that actually started in Taiwan. It was called a Fireball.
Thailand.
In Thailand,
yeah,
sorry.
Yeah.
And it was a product, we were in Hong Kong together or something at the time, and
yeah.
we saw this thing, and David said, what do you think? And it was amazing. How would you like to have an item that you can put, it's a ball, and you put it into your room, and if there's a fire in the room, it puts the fire out. No sprinkler system damage, nothing like that. And I said to David, what do you think? Take it from there, David. Tell us what happened.
So we did. So, you know, we went and looked at the homework. We met with a bunch of patent attorneys. We actually still have a patent on it, by the way.
Yes, we do. And we have investors.
You know, we have investors on that. So we brought investors. We got money put together. And this is an example of a great idea being blocked by what I call stupidity, but legality. Because the legal market wouldn't allow us to make this product available because of the insurance liability and everything else.
We actually went to the mainland and talked to not just FCC, but there was another group, because whenever you have something that has a fireproof issue on it, it has to be approved. We had Home Depot very interested in it.
We met with ULCE to try to get, and the whole thing was someone needed to certify this. The problem was it was a brand new invented product, so there was no testing standard for it. So it was a situation where the horse or the cart, which came first, the chicken or the egg, right? And they're saying, well, we can't test this because there's no test. And we're saying, well, we need a test to get it certified. Well, can't certify. So we went back and forth on this whole issue. And we need it certified because the insurance company won't give you insurance on it unless it's certified.
And David and I, well, David had the test done in Taiwan.
Yeah, we had testing.
We had pictures of a room in fire, basically.
Yeah.
And this thing goes off, poof, and it sucks the air.
No, basically it covers it with the ACB, which is the powder that they use for fire extinguishers.
You can just pick it up. It's non-toxic or anything. And the fire goes out. So an amazing product. Everybody, we went to Ace Hardware, Home Depot, to all of the basic sellers of a product like this, and they said, this could be in our fire extinguisher aisle. This would be just fantastic.
Yeah, and
but then we had to get it approved.
Yeah, we had to get it insured.
We had to, and we couldn't. We went to the insurance companies. They said if you could get this approved,
certified and a standard that met, and then we met with UL, and they says, well, there's no standard for this. And then we brought engineers in, you remember? And then they said, well, there is no standard for this because it's a brand new invented product. But you can use these standards. But the problem with that is our product would never pass any one of those standards because those standards had things innately about those standards that didn't cover our product.
Right. Nothing actually was written that could certify it, and therefore they wouldn't let the product into the market. Although it was being used in Taiwan,
it's being used throughout Asia,
in Thailand all over, and they eliminate the need for sprinkler systems in most cases, which, by the way, sprinkler systems make more damage than some of the fires do because they leak through all the floors in apartment buildings. What a trip that was. Okay, one on the wall of losers.
Another one.
Another one on the wall of losers. But we had many winners too, Dave.
Yeah,
we had some great products that came through.
Great products, and and I think the biggest winner in all of this is knowledge, because for every loser you may have, right, what you learn from that makes it less likely for you to have another loser in that same realm. Because you learn the pitfalls, you learn the mistakes that have come and occurred, and it helps you for the next one. So you
we had a product here in Hawaii developed by Jeff Krantz, StreetVac, which was a simple product. Jeff is coming on our show, by the way.
Okay, good.
So he'll give us more detail about it because he's a consummate inventor, an amazing guy. And he came up with a filter. A simple filter that David was able to produce in Asia. I think in China you made it, right?
In Taiwan.
In Taiwan. That basically absorbed, go ahead.
It basically, you stick in your wheel well, absorbs all the particles and pollutants on the street and all the heavy metals and everything, removes it from our environment, and then you basically burn it in H-power and it goes away and it removes all the particles. The big thing right now, everybody's talking about PM 2.5, right? And what PM 2.5 is particles so small that once we breathe it in, we can never get out of our system again. And this basically eliminated that. We'd pick it off the road so it wouldn't be entrenched in our air.
Which is for asthmatics, it's for clean
and we couldn't get the government to buy in.
We couldn't
get the government to believe there was a problem, first of all. Finally, when they admit there was a problem, they didn't believe this was the solution. So we just went round and round to the point where
there was $1 million invested in this thing. And we looked at it and we said, there comes a time when you have to say,
cut your losses.
Cut your losses, and off it goes. And unfortunately, I still think that is something that is good for humanity because there's so many cars on the road, so many trucks on the road. All you do is you put a filter on the inside. Now, it has to be a specific filter. You put a filter on the inside of the wheel well for $1. For $1, one filter will absorb all of the contaminants that are in there. But it couldn't work, huh?
Well, sometimes you have obstacles in the way that you can't overcome, politicians.
Right, but yet you're looking at David and I, and you can tell that we have smiles on our faces because we have been so fortunate that we have more on our wall of winners than we have.
I know, it seems like we talked a lot about losers today, but there's actually a lot of winners. Because those are
great winners.
To me, the losers are the interesting stories.
Of course.
The winners, everyone sees the end result. That's easy. The losers are why it did, why that happened, why didn't it succeed. By dissecting all of that, the knowledge you obtain from all of that will make you much more successful than any of my winners have. I learned more from the 3 losers we talked about today than any of the winning solutions that any products that I've come up with.
And that again is the reason that we have this show, David, because it really is an educational show. And we try to make it entertaining, but for all of you young people who are out there, for all the MBAs that have come to my office and talked to me, this is what it's all about. Willing to take the risk, willing to do the due diligence, and finding out, not being afraid of finding out that it may not work. You can't look at it negatively, you have to look at it positively. And once you do that, it is Yes or a no? We're not sure. David, we've run out of time.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so
Fun, it was
much for
great.
coming. It's always
Nice
wonderful.
reminiscing.
I think you have to come back, David, because there's so my list. We didn't even cover.
Yeah,
half
I don't
of
think
the
we even
list that
touched
I
the
wanted
list.
to
We talked
do.
about like three things on that list.
But it's been wonderful having you.
Thank you for having
very
me.
much. I thank all of you for joining us at Seymour's World today. We will have a show next week, which you will find very interesting as well. I'm not sure if I told you about next week, but it's going to be on entertainment here in Hawaii. So I look forward to seeing you again. My name is Seymour Kazimirski, and this is Seymour's World on ThinkTech Hawaii.